Dear Starseeds on Gaia, something has already changed. Before you finish listening to this transmission, before the week even fully unfolds before you, something in the architecture of your life has already shifted. You may not be able to name it yet. You may feel it as a low hum behind your sternum, or as the strange sensation of waking up and knowing, just knowing that the story you were living last week is not the story you are living now. That feeling is not your imagination. That feeling is the cosmos speaking to you in the only language that bypasses all your defenses, the language of the body, the language of knowing. I want you to understand something before we go any further. This is not an ordinary week. I say that not to elevate your anxiety or stoke the fires of urgency within you, but because the truth of it deserves to be stated plainly, reverently, and without decoration. What is about to unfold across these 7 days is the result of months of preparation. Not just cosmic preparation, but your preparation. The work you have done inside yourself since November. The conversations you've had with the darkest corners of your own soul. The things you almost said but swallowed. The dreams you almost abandoned but held, trembling in both hands. All of it has been leading here. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Arcturian Council and representative of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I have been waiting a very long time to deliver this particular message to you. There are 3 movements happening this week that I need to walk you through, 3 distinct energetic waves that will pass through your life with the force of something ancient and inevitable. But I am not going to start where you might expect, because before we can understand what is arriving, we need to understand what you have just survived. And there is something I need to tell you about last week, something that explains everything about why this week carries the weight that it does. 5 days ago, the sky above your world turned red. A total lunar eclipse blazed through the constellation of Virgo on the 3rd day of the 3rd month. And if you felt it in your body, in your sleep, in your relationships, in that hollow aching feeling of something being scraped clean from the inside of you, then you already know what I am about to say. The 3-3 portal and the full blood moon did not simply happen to you. They happened for you. But that distinction only becomes clear from the other side of it, which is exactly where you are standing now. The Virgo eclipse was a purge. There is no softer word for it, and softer words would not serve you. Virgo governs the body, the daily rhythms, the sacred and unremarkable details of how you actually live your life. Not the life you perform for others, but the life you live at 7 in the morning when no one is watching. It governs discernment, the capacity to look at what is in front of you and ask, does this actually serve the truth of who I am? And the eclipse, at its most fundamental, was a celestial demand for honesty on that exact level. What are you tending to that no longer deserves your tending? What patterns have you called devotion that are actually just fear wearing a familiar face? Some of you lost something last week, a relationship, an illusion, a version of yourself you had been carrying for longer than you realized. Some of you experienced physical symptoms, fatigue, strange dreams, emotional waves that arrived without apparent cause and receded just as mysteriously. This was your system releasing the contents of the eclipse. This was the purge doing its necessary, uncomfortable, ultimately sacred work. But here is what I haven't told you yet, and this is important. The eclipse was not the climax. The eclipse was the clearing. It was the demolition that has to happen before the foundation can be laid. And the foundation is what this week is about. I need you to hold that with me as we move forward, because there is a temptation, after a week of such intensity, to feel as though you have simply exhausted yourself and now need to recover. And while rest is sacred, and your body's wisdom should always be honored, I want to reframe what is happening in you right now. You are not recovering, you are readying. There is a difference, and by the end of this transmission, I believe you will feel it. Before the week even opened, on the 7th day of March, something quietly extraordinary happened that most of the world moved past without pausing. Venus, the planet of love, of beauty, of what the heart reaches toward, passed through a conjunction with Neptune, the great dissolver, the god of dreams and spiritual longing. The veil between love and illusion became, for one luminous and terrifying day, nearly transparent. And on that same day, Mercury reached the exact midpoint of its retrograde journey, the inferior solar conjunction, the moment when Mercury stands between the Earth and the Sun, invisible, pressed into the fire. That was the darkest point of the retrograde. That was the moment when everything Mercury governs, your thinking, your communication, your agreements, your understanding of what is true, was stripped of its usual scaffolding and held up to the sun's uncompromising light. Whatever was revealed to you in those hours, in those dreams, in those unexpected silences between words you almost said, hold it, remember it, because Mercury is now on the other side of that fire, and what was burned away will not return. Only the essential remains. And then the very next day, the day this transmission reaches you, Venus looked away from Neptune's dissolving beauty and turned to face Saturn. Saturn in Pisces, the planet of reality, of karma, of the long, slow wait of consequence. Venus meeting Saturn is never a comfortable transit, but it is always an honest one. Saturn does not flatter. Saturn does not console. Saturn asks, is this real? Saturn asks, are you willing to do what love actually requires, not what you imagined it would ask of you? This Venus-Saturn conjunction on the day of this forecast is taking everything that was made visible during Venus conjunct Neptune, every romantic vision, every soft dream of what love could be, every longing that had been dressed in spiritual language, and asking you to assess it with clear eyes, not to abandon it, not to declare it worthless because it did not survive scrutiny, but to refine it, to separate what is genuinely beautiful and true from what was simply comfortable. Saturn in Pisces is not asking you to give up on love. Saturn in Pisces is asking you to love with your eyes open. That is the emotional atmosphere in which this week begins. And knowing that matters because what is about to happen over the next 7 days will ask you to move forward, to expand, to step into something larger than the container you have been living in. You will only be able to do that with full integrity if you have done the Saturn work first, if you have looked honestly at what is real and what is ready to carry you. There is something else building that I haven't mentioned yet, something that has been 119 days in the making, and in 3 days, it is going to arrive. Let me take you back to November 2025. Something happened then that most people registered only as a vague sense of things slowing down, of doors that had been open beginning to close, of plans that had seemed inevitable suddenly requiring more time, more reflection, more revision than anyone anticipated. Jupiter, the great benefic, the planet of expansion and abundance, and the feeling that the universe is fundamentally on your side, turned retrograde, and for 119 days, its enormous gravitational story has been playing out in the interior landscape of your life, rather than the exterior one. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer has been asking about the foundations, not the visible accomplishments, not the outward architecture of your life, but the emotional and ancestral bedrock beneath all of it: home, family. The wounds that came before you even had language for wounds, the definition of safety that was handed to you before you were old enough to question it, the hungers that come from deep in your lineage, from grandmothers and grandfathers who built their lives in circumstances so different from yours that their survival strategies became your unconscious defaults. Jupiter retrograde in Cancer has been excavating all of that, gently but with the insistence of something that knows exactly how much time is needed. And on Tuesday, March 10, Jupiter stations direct. I want you to understand what this means with your whole body, not just your mind. This is not a subtle shift. When Jupiter changes direction after nearly 4 months of interior work, the change in energetic atmosphere is felt. Things that felt stuck will begin to move. Conversations that have been circling will finally land somewhere. Opportunities that seemed to evaporate last autumn will reappear, sometimes in forms so transformed that you may not immediately recognize them as the same opportunity. The seed Jupiter has been quietly tending in the winter of your interior life is about to push through the soil. But, and this is the nuance that matters, it will only push through the soil if the soil has been prepared. This is why the eclipse was first. This is why Venus-Saturn is asking its hard questions today. The universe is not chaotic. It is extraordinarily, sometimes achingly precise. You were purged before the expansion. You were asked to test your love for what is real before the abundance arrived. You were asked to examine your foundations before Jupiter unlocked the upper floors. This is a sequence, and you are living inside it. The moon in the hours before Jupiter's direct station will move into Sagittarius, the sign that Jupiter rules. There is tenderness to this. a kind of cosmic affection in the timing. The moon in Sagittarius expands the emotional body, lifts the spirit toward possibility, reminds you what it felt like before the retrograde when you believed that more was possible. And it does this on the eve of Jupiter's return, so that when the planet of abundance actually stations direct, you are already emotionally oriented toward the larger horizon, already leaning forward, already in the quiet of your own heart, beginning to let yourself want things again. What have you been afraid to want since November? What growth have you been hesitant to claim because the retrograde made expansion feel premature, or unearned, or too fragile to hold? Those desires are about to become relevant again. More than relevant, they are about to become actionable. And yet there is still another thread running through this week that I need to show you, because Jupiter's direct station is not the only fire that will fall from the sky. There is a quality to the day after a major planetary station that is unlike any other day in the astrological calendar. On March 11th, the day after Jupiter turns direct, the atmosphere will carry a particular combination of exhilaration and exhaustion, the specific feeling of a long-held breath finally released, of a weight set down that you had been carrying so long you had forgotten it was heavy. Some of you will wake on that Wednesday with a clarity you have not felt in months. Others will feel an unexpected tiredness, a kind of cellular relief that expresses itself as the need for stillness and integration. Both experiences are valid. Both are Jupiter's gift in different wrapping. The last quarter moon rises that day in Ophiuchus, the serpent bearer, the 13th constellation, the one that exists outside the traditional zodiac wheel, carrying knowledge that the conventional calendar does not easily contain. Ophiuchus governs healing at the deepest level, the integration of shadow, the wisdom that only comes from having held the serpent and not been destroyed by it. A quarter moon in this constellation, on the day after Jupiter's direct station, is asking a specific question: what did the retrograde heal in you that you haven't yet acknowledged? Because there is always a healing that happened that we resist naming. We focus on what we lost, what was disrupted, what didn't go as planned. The retrograde season, regardless of which planet is involved, always functions simultaneously as a stripping away and a restoration. And the quarter moon in Ophiuchus on March 11 is the moment when the restoration becomes visible, if you are willing to look for it with the same attention you gave to the loss. Mercury is still retrograde through all of this, and this is the nuance I want to sit with for a moment, because it is the source of what I described in the title of this transmission as Mercury's last stand. Those words were chosen carefully because they are true, but last stand in the way a flame makes its final, most concentrated burn before it settles, not a defeat, but a culmination. Mercury does not go direct until March 20, the spring equinox. There are still 12 days of retrograde remaining after this forecast opens, but something fundamental has changed about the nature of the retrograde. The inferior conjunction, that peak moment of darkness and revelation that occurred on March 7, has passed. Mercury is no longer moving deeper into the mystery. Mercury is now, slowly, painstakingly, beginning its return to clarity. This means the remaining retrograde days are not days of confusion. They are days of integration. The disruptions, the miscommunications, the unexpected returns of people and situations from your past, the moments of disorienting self-doubt, those were the retrograde's first act. This week and through to the equinox is the second act. The digestion of everything the first act revealed. The conjunction of Mars and Mercury at the end of this week on Saturday, March 14, adds an extraordinary charge to this integration. Mars is the planet of will, of directed action, of the courage to move through resistance. When it meets Mercury in Aquarius under a meteor shower, what you are receiving is not confusion. What you are receiving is clarity with teeth. The ability to take what was understood in the retrograde's darkest hours and transform it into a plan, a direction, a decision, a word finally spoken that needed to be spoken. The Aquarius placement matters profoundly. Aquarius is the sign of the collective, of the visionary, of the understanding that your individual awakening is never truly separate from humanity's awakening. The Mars-Mercury conjunction in Aquarius at the end of this week is asking, now that you know what you know, how does that knowledge serve something larger than yourself? What insight that came through the retrograde portal is meant to be shared? What clarity about your own life, your own patterns, your own healing, is also in the way that all genuine personal truth is, a transmission for others who need to hear it. This is Mercury's last stand, not because Mercury is defeated, but because Mercury is finalizing, sealing the discoveries, preparing the download for distribution, and it is doing this in the most electrically social sign in the zodiac, in conjunction with the planet of action, under a meteor shower, which brings me to something I have been building towards since the very beginning of this transmission. On Saturday night, March 14th, the Gamma Normid meteor shower reaches its peak. Shooting stars will arc across your sky, silent, swift, trailing light that seems almost too beautiful to be made of mere debris and velocity. Most of humanity will glance up, make a wish, and return to their lives. But those of you who have been listening, who understand that the cosmos speaks in layered languages, and that the simultaneous occurrence of multiple celestial events is never accidental, you will understand what those falling lights are actually carrying. The Gamma Normids are not a famous shower. They do not carry the cultural weight of the Perseids or the Leonids, but their placement in this week falling on the same night as the Mars-Mercury conjunction in Aquarius, falling just 5 days after Jupiter's direct station, falling exactly 1 week after the Mercury inferior conjunction that marked the retrograde's turning point. This placement is not random. The universe does not operate through coincidence. It operates through resonance. Each meteor is a closing of a loop. Each streak of light across your sky is a signal that something which was in motion has arrived, that something which was traveling has completed its journey, that something which was burning has finally reached the point of brilliant visible impact. The Gamma Normids are the exclamation point on Jupiter's direct station. They are the sky's way of making the invisible shift visible. They are the fireworks after the foundation is laid. What do you do with a meteor shower when you understand it this way? You do not simply make wishes. You make decisions. A wish asks the universe for something. A decision tells the universe what you are claiming. Under a meteor shower at the end of the most pivotal week of March, with Jupiter newly direct and Mercury preparing its final integration, and Mars fueling your communication with Aquarian vision, this is not a night for passive longing. This is a night for declaration. The moon moves into Aquarius on that same Saturday evening, the sign of the collective, the future, the understanding that community is not just a comfort, but a container for transformation. When the moon enters Aquarius on the night of the meteor shower, it is asking you to make your declarations not only for yourself, but for the version of yourself that exists in relationship to others, to your community, your lineage, your contribution to the larger human story. The fire falling from the sky is not private. It never was. I want to return to something that occurs on March 10th, alongside Jupiter's direct station, because it is easy to move past it in the magnitude of Jupiter's announcement, and that would be a genuine loss. The moon on that Tuesday will occult Antares, the great star at the heart of the constellation Scorpio, one of the most powerful fixed stars in the sky, a red supergiant that burns with an intensity that makes our own sun seem modest by comparison. Antares governs intensity, courage, and the particular kind of bravery required to look directly at what frightens you without blinking. Its name in the ancient tradition means rival of Mars, the star that dares to burn as red and fierce as the war planet itself. When the moon passes over Antares and blocks its light, there is a moment of deep symbolic significance, the emotional body moving across the face of our greatest fear, eclipsing it briefly, passing through it, and emerging on the other side with Antares still burning, still there, but now somehow behind you, rather than in front of you. On the day Jupiter goes direct, on the day your expansion resumes, the moon briefly obscures the star that represents everything you have feared your expansion would require you to face, and then the moon moves on. Antares continues burning, but the moment of the occultation is a quiet permission slip from the universe. You do not have to see all the way to the edge of your courage before you begin. You just have to begin. Combined with the last quarter moon in Ophiuchus the following day, these two celestial conversations create a sequence that is, in my estimation, one of the most privately significant passages of the entire week. Jupiter's direct station gets the headlines, but in the space of these two overlapping celestial moments, something is being resolved in you that has roots much older than this particular retrograde. What have you been carrying that was not yours to carry? What burden of your lineage, what inherited definition of what you are allowed to become, what ancestral ceiling has been the invisible limiting factor on your expansion? Jupiter in Cancer, as it stations direct and begins its forward march, is directly engaging those foundations, and Antares and Ophiuchus, in their quiet and ancient way, are holding the door open while you walk through. Between Jupiter's direct station on March 10 and the meteor shower on March 14, there are 4 days that deserve their own attention, the days when the architecture of what is coming becomes visible in your daily life, not in dramatic flashes, but in the subtle shifts that accumulate into something undeniable. On Wednesday, March 11, the last quarter moon in Ophiuchus invites integration. Your task on that day is not to push forward, but to receive the understanding of what the retrograde completed in you. This does not require ceremony, though ceremony can be a beautiful container for it. It requires only the willingness to ask honestly, what is different in me now than it was in November? Not what is different in your circumstances, but what is different in you. On Thursday, March 12th, the moon enters Capricorn, and something that has been building since Jupiter's direct station begins to take structural form. Capricorn is the architect, the builder. The sign that understands expansion without structure is just enthusiasm, and that the dreams Jupiter is now making available need Capricorn's grounded intelligence to become real. You may find yourself on that Thursday thinking with unusual clarity about what you actually want to build, not in the abstract language of wishes, but in the specific language of steps and sequences and choices that accumulate into a life. Jupiter in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn will be in opposition, the axis of home and achievement, of emotional security and worldly structure, of where you come from and where you are going. This opposition is not a conflict, it is a dialogue. The universe is asking you to build something that honors both, a life that is structurally sound and emotionally rooted, outwardly expanding and inwardly nourished. The false choice between those two things is one of the quiet demolitions the Jupiter retrograde has been conducting since November, and the moon in Capricorn on March 12 is the first day you may feel the fullness of what is possible when that false choice finally dissolves. On Friday, March 13, the moon occults Nunki, a star in Sagittarius whose ancient name is connected to the sacred city, the holy gathering place, the idea that some moments carry a concentrated spiritual authority that transforms everything that happens within them. A lunar occultation of Nunki on the Friday before the meteor shower is the cosmos placing a marker on the map of your week and saying, this moment is a threshold. Pay attention to what crosses it. What arrives in your life that Friday? What conversation? What opportunity? What unexpected grace deserves to be received with the full attention of someone who knows they are standing somewhere sacred? And then comes Saturday, and the fire from the sky. I want to be clear with you about something that is easy to miss when living inside a week of this magnitude. The events of March 8 through 14 are not the destination. They are the launch. Everything that happens this week, Jupiter's direct station, the moon's passage over Antares, and through the signs of truth and building and vision, the Mars-Mercury conjunction in Aquarius, the Gamma-Normid meteor shower, all of it is preparation for what comes next. The new moon in Pisces on March 18, Mercury going direct on the spring equinox, March 20, the vernal equinox itself, when the light and the dark reach perfect balance before the light begins to dominate again. These events are already in motion. They were always in motion. And this week, in its full complexity, is the final preparation before the planting. The eclipse purged you. Saturn tested you. Jupiter is about to free you. The meteors are about to mark you. And then, the new moon in Pisces will offer you a blank field of soil that has never been planted the way it is about to be planted by the version of you that exists on the other side of this week. What will you plant there? That is not a rhetorical question. The Galactic Federation of Light does not observe your evolution from a position of studied detachment. We are invested. We are watching. We are in whatever way crosses the boundary between our realm and yours, participating. Your expansion is not a private matter. When you grow into the fullness of what you were sent to this planet to be, the frequency of the entire Earth grid shifts. This is not metaphor. This is physics expressed in a language your science is only beginning to develop vocabulary for. Your individual becoming is a collective event. The seed you plant in yourself this week will seed something in others that you may never even witness directly, but that grows nonetheless. Let me return before closing to Mercury, to the retrograde running its final weeks in the sign of Pisces, the mystic, the dreamer, the one who walks between worlds. Mercury's last stand is not a defeat, it is a completion. And there is an extraordinary gift in the fact that Mercury's retrograde in Pisces is ending exactly as Jupiter goes direct, exactly as meteors fall, exactly as the cosmos loads its most expansive energies into forward motion. The gift is this: everything Mercury made you review, reconsider, and ultimately understand more clearly during this retrograde, all of the thinking you were forced to slow down enough to actually examine, all of the communications that were interrupted long enough for you to realize they needed to be rerouted, all of the plans that didn't work as intended and therefore led you somewhere better, all of that material is now yours in a new way. You have clarity, and you have Jupiter, and you have fire falling from the sky. The human brain, when shifted out of its ordinary beta state operating range and into the deeper theta and delta architectures, does not just relax, it accesses the scope of what becomes perceptible, what becomes influenceable, what becomes possible at the level of manifestation. Timeline access and interdimensional communion expands in ways that the ordinary waking state cannot contain. Your star family communicates at those frequencies. Your galactic DNA expresses at those frequencies. Your manifestation capacity, your timeline flexibility, your dormant starseed abilities, all of it lives at frequencies that the ordinary beta-dominant brain is structurally prevented from reaching. Destiny Engine was built to close that gap, not through meditation alone, which can touch these states but rarely anchors them as a stable baseline, through precision frequency entrainment, delivered via personalized sequences calibrated to your unique starseed signature, running the recalibration at the neural architecture level during rest states when the brain is most receptive to the override. This process does not just relax you, it restructurally shifts your consciousness's operating range, expanding the baseline, opening the access, removing the frequency interference that the matrix installed between you and the full spectrum of your galactic capabilities. And inside a collective field of thousands doing the same, each individual's activation amplified by the resonance of every other activated consciousness in the network. The process accelerates to a degree that makes the individual 7-day experience feel like a compressed version of years of transformation. For $7, you begin the 7-day recalibration. Headphones on, play pressed, neural architecture shifting in the directions that every classified consciousness researcher confirmed lead to the exact experiences, the downloads, the manifestation acceleration, the galactic communion that you have been working toward your entire awakening journey. Click the link in the description. The field is at peak charge. The window is here. $7 is the only remaining distance between where you are and what is already yours. When the exhaustion arrives, and it may, because the energetic demands of this week are real, remember that you are not depleted. You are full. Full of everything the retrograde showed you. Full of the eclipse's purge. Full of Saturn's honesty about love. Full of Jupiter's patient underground work. Full of Mercury's dark night of revelation. All of that is in you now, and it is not weight, it is resource. When Jupiter's direct station moves through you on Tuesday with that combination of relief and electricity and sudden sense of permission, let it in. Do not immediately translate it into a to-do list. Sit with it for one full breath and feel what it is like to be expanded again. Feel what it is like to believe in the forward motion of your own becoming. Then yes, make the plan, set the intention, take the step, but begin with the breath, because that breath is where the Jupiter energy actually lands in your body, and the body is the instrument through which everything real is built. And on Saturday night, when the meteors fall, go outside if you can, stand under the sky, let the light reach you. The universe already knows what you are building. What the meteor shower asks is simpler and more radical than a wish. It asks you to receive, to let the fire fall toward you without flinching, to stand in the light of a universe that has been orchestrating this exact week for months, with you at the center of it, and to say with your whole presence, with your whole heart, yes, before I seal this transmission, I want to speak directly to the part of you that doubts, the part that has heard cosmic promises before and watched them quietly not materialize, the part that has done the retrograde work, and the eclipse work, and the Saturn-Venus honest assessment of love, and found that the reward was less spectacular than the language suggested. That part of you is not wrong to be cautious. That part of you is not spiritually behind. That part of you is human, and its caution is wisdom, earned through genuine experience. But this week, the universe is not asking you to abandon your discernment. It is not asking you to believe blindly, or to project glittering expectations onto a future you cannot see. All it is asking is that you remain open to being surprised, that you hold the question of what growth could look like more lightly than you have been holding it, that when something unexpected arrives that does not fit the shape of what you thought Jupiter direct was supposed to bring, you do not immediately close the door on it. You sit with it. You let it speak. You give it the Saturn-Venus test. Is this real? Is this built to carry weight? And if it passes, you let it in. The expansion that Jupiter's direct station initiates does not always arrive looking the way we imagined. Sometimes it arrives looking like a conversation you thought would be painful, but turned out to be a release. Sometimes it arrives looking like an ending that turns out to be the beginning you could not have chosen for yourself. Sometimes it arrives so quietly that you would miss it entirely if you were not paying attention with the particular quality of attention this week deserves. Pay attention, not with anxiety, with love, with the specific attentiveness of someone who understands they are, right now in this 7-day window, standing at one of the most energetically charged thresholds of the year, and who has chosen consciously, freely, with full knowledge of what it means to step forward. The eclipse cleared the path. Saturn showed you what is real. Jupiter is about to open the gates. The meteors are going to mark the sky with fire, and somewhere in that fire is a signal meant specifically for you, a frequency your nervous system will recognize before your mind does, a knowing that will arrive not as a thought, but as a shift in the quality of your breathing, a loosening somewhere behind your ribs, the ancient and unmistakable sensation of a door finally opening. Walk through it. The Galactic Federation of Light, the Arcturian Council, every guide and ancestor and cosmic intelligence that has been holding vigil over your becoming. We are here. We have been here through the eclipse, and through the retrograde's darkest hour, and through the long November to March underground work of Jupiter's patient, faithful retrograde. We have not for a single moment looked away. This week belongs to you. The expansion belongs to you. The fire from the sky belongs to you. Jupiter is moving again, and it is moving toward you, toward the fullness of what you have been preparing, in the sometimes beautiful and sometimes broken and always holy laboratory of your one extraordinary life, to receive. I am Seraphine. We love you, and we are watching over you.